Welcome live on the Play-by-Play Sports Network to the 2021 New Jersey Girls Lacrosse Prep B Championship game, featuring the Trinity Hall Monarchs out of Monmouth County, New Jersey, ranked number 9 in the state, 7-0, preseason number 19 team in the state, and playing perhaps at the peak level in this program's 7-year varsity existence, taking on and visiting the Montclair-Kimberley Academy Cougars here from Montclair, New Jersey, in at 8-2 on the season. They've also been ranked in the state. They were number 18 last week. Montclair-Kimberley taking on Trinity Hall today. MKA, the defending Prep B champions from 2019. They defeated Trinity Hall 14-11 that day. Good afternoon and welcome to our coverage. I'm Ralph Bednarczyk and happy to have you with me. Great weather conditions for this one as the two teams take the field. And this promises to be a very competitive game. Hard to kind of pick apart the differences between the two teams. Trinity Hall may have a little bit more depth. They're also averaging 16 goals per game. And Trinity Hall does split their goalies, so we'll see who might be the hot goalie between the two. And they come in off of a 24-5 impressive win over Princeton Day, and then 12-2, avenging their 2019 loss to the Pingree School in the South Jersey Group 1 final for ninth-year coach Dana Leneper, who started the program. Trinity Hall in the road navy on navy, white on white for Montclair-Kimberley Academy. Freshman goalie for MKA, Orly Cedrask, takes her spot in goal to my right. Isabel Darman, a 5'9 sophomore, in goal to my left for Trinity Hall. And we're underway with the opening draw being controlled here by the Monarchs. So it's 7-0 on the attack. Peyton Maguire, Kia Martin, a freshman, Charlotte Weber, and Tess Bateman. And in the midfield, three outstanding juniors, all going to eventually play in college: Mary Kate Ollingham, Paige Nolan, and Haven Dora. A shot inside, and the stop is made as MKA's Orly Cedrask, a freshman that has played every minute this season, 93 saves coming in, has not played like a freshman, says her head coach, sixth-year coach Chelsea Intrabartola, a former defender at Rutgers out of Long Island. So MKA to start the clearing process through Cedrask, plays travel lacrosse through the Do Lacrosse organization. And Trinity Hall with a 10-man ride here to open up. So they'll put the freshman in a precarious position of to try to complete a pass, and perhaps from some distance. And the other starters for MKA, as we'll see once they get the ball. How about the Trinity Hall defense? Bryn McGinnis will be their backer in the zone. Haley Dora, Alex Popham, and Caroline Gulka. And the goalie, Isabel Darman. So Cedrask, he were able to hold with Trinity Hall maintaining this full field ride. 2 years ago was a tight game. Trinity Hall did have the lead. They were up in that game before losing 14-11. And Dana Leneper laments at that time that even just 2 years ago, they didn't have the depth to close that game out. They may have the depth advantage today, as Cedrask's pass didn't come out of her stick properly, and it's turned over. And Trinity Hall will come up with it following the takeaway. So the Monarchs with their second possession, and as they'll skip it over the top, here to Caroline Gulka, first-year starter on the defense. The Monarchs graduated just 2 in the class of 2020, lost another that's sitting out the season, so they brought back a lot of pieces off of a team that finished 17-5 and had a lot of promise to how 2020 might go. Here's Paige Nolan, a verbal commitment to UPenn. On the face dodge, and she picks up the foul against Taylor Everson. We'll talk about Everson, a senior committed to Yale. Nolan, will see her someday in the future. A verbal to Penn, coming up through the All-Lax Select Club Lacrosse program. Nolan with 25 points on the season as Nolan cuts in and is able to beat Cedrask with the bouncer. So Paige Nolan starts the scoring, her 17th of the season. Coming off of 3-2 against Princeton Day in the B semifinals. And had a huge second game of the year against Red Bank Regional. Trinity Hall coming in has only given up 20 goals this season. So they have yet to be in a true competitive game. They've had possession for large stretches of games, and that's been a part of it as Nolan on free position starts our scoring. So we'll see how Dana Leneper's bunch will react to that. Closest game this season by score, 17-9 versus Red Bank Regional in Game 2, 15-5 at Red Bank Catholic. Draw control, Taylor Everson for MKA. And she will bring it back behind. And the skip up top. Then the feed inside intended for Everson. And eventually the ground ball, Gulka. So Gulka at 5'10". Dana Leneper was looking for someone to fill in the shoes of a lost starter on defense, and it's probably one of the best decisions they made in the early season, moving Gulka there. As here's Peyton Maguire to settle things against MKA defensively. MKA, a team defense, man-to-man, 100% so far this season. On the drive, and there is Cedrex making the save on Haven Dora on the drive. And for the first time, Dora verbal to Princeton. First team All-Shore as a freshman in 2019. And MKA looking for the clear. And a good ride. Finally, the foul picked up. How about the MKA offensive starters? Junior Kate Weinstein on the attack with Avery Song, a junior. Christine Lundholm. And freshman Erin Curran, the midfield. Very potent with senior Taylor Everson headed to Yale, a 3-year starter. And joined by Patricia Columbia Walsh and Caroline Murphy. Another turnover here by MKA on their first 2 possessions. So Darman is yet to see a shot. MKA defensively, Lindsey Dreever, Abby Clothier, freshman Ava Moore, and Katie Hipp. Hipp, a 3-year starting senior that is signed to play in the Atlantic 10 at George Washington. Clothier, a senior, she's a 2-year starter, will play at Colby College in Maine, playing the prestigious NESCAC, arguably the top Division III league in women's college lacrosse annually. So Trinity Hall with Haven Dora. As she gets the flip pass in the return, 1-0 on the Paige Nolan goal. Dora to continue and weaves her way through and finishes from the tight angle. Haven Dora. So Trinity Hall just through some tough dodging, and the visitors here on the road have a 2-0 lead. Haven Dora, so far as Dana Leneper has talked about, who was a defender during her time at George and Corton College, no one has been able to stay in front of her as a dodger. And we saw that there in the elements of her varsity basketball point guard skills. That Dora is able to move and have her head up, helping her so much. She's the leading scorer for the Monarchs. That's her 37th. And MKA needs a draw control. And the battle on the outside the circle, and Taylor Everson could not come up with it. So the Monarchs here to restart. 5.5 gone. Nolan and Haven Dora, the 2 goals. As she's pestered along the restraining line. And now Trinity Hall will take it back out of the restraining line. Here's senior Bryn McGinnis. And eventually touched over here for Hala Dora, the younger sister of Haven. She's a freshman. And Hala with the feed. Mary-Kate Ollingham as Ollingham had the shot, and it's easily stopped, or rather knocked down and picked up by Lindsey Dreever. Abby Clothier looking for the clear. And Clothier is ridden hard and will turn it over. So Trinity Hall's pressure here, that's caused 3 early turnovers by the Cougars on their home field. So the Monarchs through Alex Popham would have been on the varsity last year. Trinity Hall got about a week of practice in, like MKA did. As it's sent forward, and here's Haley Dora again. Back behind, junior Tess Bateman, another first-year starter and a junior. Trinity Hall came into the season that determined that to try to take the next level for them. Lost to Pingree 2 years ago. They were pretty good in the Shore Conference, 5-2 that year. But the loss 20-5 2 years ago, Dana Lenaper thought that was a good loss for us to see what the very top of New Jersey looks like, perennially ranked Pingree. Now darting through off the series of fakes and finishing. Fine moves inside. Paige Nolan faked the pass, and then Nolan just very calmly got Cedrask a little bit off balance, and she scores inside, and it is 3-0 Trinity Hall. So just terrific by Paige Nolan coming in off the sneak. So this Trinity Hall offense, and showing its balance in the early going. A few plays that Dana Lenaper has installed, that overall it's more about patience for her team, as draw control is won by Mary-Kate Allingham. Allingham on the push. Dora firing, and Dora on the move. Haven Dora, transition tally from Allingham. It's 4-0. Timeout, MKA. Allingham on the push. Nolan and Haven Dora have each tallied twice, and the Dynamite midfielders here have made the long trip off the bus to jump out 4-0 in this Prep B final. Mary-Kate Allingham has added something with taking draws, a transfer from Rumson Haven after 2019. Coming off of a goal and a couple of assists at Pingree. And a welcome addition, and always very hyped for this team, and combining to have one of the top midfields in the state, and certainly into 2022. Haven Dora, Paige Nolan, Mary-Kate Allingham. There will be very few programs not named the usual suspects of Ridgewood, Summit, Oak Knoll that will have a midfield that good next year. So it is 4-0. Allingham will get credited with the assist. And more on this Monarchs program that is officially in its 7th year as a varsity program in 2021. Now, Dana Lenaper took the job as the school opened up in the fall of 2013. They had 2 seasons where they were playing essentially at a club level. And in those years, coming from very humble beginnings, and she was drawing kids from all kinds of different sports just to try to fill out a roster as they made their ascension 2017 and 2018 with 5 and 13 seasons, but they at least had a chance to play full years with more full rosters, and then the breakthrough season of 2019 finishing up 17 and 5. But it took a long time to get there. And now having players that are on the verge of playing in college, and particularly just graduating into the class of 2020, Colleen Kelly, who's now playing at Bucknell. Sydney Ripple, who could have played in a lot of places. She's playing on the club team at UCLA. And Catherine Loader, out of that 2020 class, or earlier rather, Loader, a student at Michigan. Also someone that had the talent that could have played in college had she wanted to. So steps forward, and it takes a decade to build programs up, but here is Trinity Hall in the state rankings at number 9 and climbing as a program to places they've never been. Allingham against Patricia Columbia Walsh. And the foul called, and it will be Taylor Everson with possession. So the Cougars find themselves trailing 4-0. They've turned it over 3 times. They do not have a shot yet. And Columbia Walsh outside. And can the big 3 right now of MKA find their opportunities? Columbia Walsh, Everson, Avery Song, and work and get everybody involved against a stingy Monarchs defense that plays the backer zone. Everson turns, fires, and she's able to beat the goalie in Isabel Darman. It is 4-1. So Everson got the nice pass, and MKA has finished off a possession. So about 8.5 minutes in, Taylor Everson strikes in her officially 4th year of the varsity, of course 3 years starting. But without 2020 and a commitment to Yale, that's her 37th. And a 9-point day at Livingston in 2019 as a sophomore. Everson had 79 and 26. Draw control, Everson off the circle is fouled. So they will back up Taylor. Taylor looking to major in political science at Yale, hoping to become an attorney or work in government perhaps. And Columbia Walsh will move it here onto the wing for Aaron Curran. And movement back behind from Avery Song. So the backer in the zone, look out for number 6, Bryn McGinnis. Here's Everson, had to change her shot, and still, as it missed from the angle. Everson on the recovery. Then a skip pass across. And trying to chase it down is Curran, and she won't get to it, and it will be a turnover. So the backer zone by Trinity Hall. They've always done the backer zone, and Bryn McGinnis very good at knocking down passes, and we'll look for her impact today. And all 4 of those low defenders for the Monarchs were middle school midfielders. So they've got the endurance to run and play with great range. (4-1) Trinity Hall. Paige Nolan outside. As the sweep came from Charlotte Weber, also known as Cece. Face dodge comes, then the shot, Sendrax makes the save, as stepping into the shot was Peyton Maguire. So Orly Sendrask, who just loves being a goalie, growing up with an older brother who's now playing on the MKA boys lacrosse team, always put on the pillow and a helmet, that had tennis balls shot at her, and truly became a goalie in the winter of 5th grade, attending her first goalie clinic, and has practiced that position ever since. So we've played 11 minutes, and MKA able to get a stop of the Monarchs. Offensively, MKA much more of an open offense, as you can see the players spread out, and they look for what the defense is giving them. This is Columbia Walsh. And Patricia Columbia Walsh will go to the 8-meter. She's their leading scorer for the Cougars, 41 points off of 3 goals against Morristown Baird in the B semifinals. Columbia Walsh on the right wing. And she goes in and places the shot. Not an easy angle at all, but she beats Isabel Darman. And Columbia Walsh cuts it to 4-2. So the free position finish. Columbia Walsh plays her club lacrosse with the CLC organization, varsity basketball, and someone that sees the field really well as a multi-sport athlete. So MKA able to pay off the stop and the save by Sedrask on the other end. Last night, MKA receiving their seed for the upcoming Essex County Girls Lacrosse Tournament. They'll be the 3 seed. Draw control, Columbia Walsh. That gets it ahead of the restraining line and will settle into another possession with the Cougars generating some momentum. Out front, Avery Song, and now Everson. Song, a junior on the attack, a returning starter for 2019, and very shifty around GLE. And Everson's pass, a far pass intended for Christine Lindholm, and that'll be an unforced turnover by the Cougars. MKA now to put on the ride. 2 losses this season at 8-2 for MKA. Losses at Madison, 10-3. And they battled Summit. Final score was 20-8 against one of the top 5 perennial powers in New Jersey. As here is Haley Dora. As Dora shifted it down low for Peyton Maguire. Kia Martin will move it along. And a good clear for Trinity Hall. Clothier with the defense against the roll dodge from Charlotte Weber. Nolan flipping it along, Mary-Kate Allingham. Dora, now the isolation. Here comes the double coming by Everson to get it away from Haven Dora. Now knifing away through Paige Nolan will pick up the foul and get herself to the 8-meter. Nolan has already finished on free position. And she'll take it in and beat Sedrax on the bouncer. Held it high and then bounced it low. So Paige Nolan with 3 in this first half. And it's a 5-2 advantage. Trinity Hall, a private school in the Catholic tradition for girls only, 9th through 12th grades. They're in Tinton Falls in Monmouth County, only opening in the fall of 2013. And it is also one of the rare schools that is high honors only. So only honors or AP classes offered. Draw control, Song. And Song against the pressure of Bryn McGinnis, who is the #1 ball hawk for the Monarchs, and the turnover forced. Hanladora defensively. And Dora ahead to older sister Haven. And Haven pushing numbers. Onto the wing it comes, shooting space for Trinity Hall. So Charlotte Webble will go to the 8. But the turnover forced. The double by Hanladora and Bryn McGinnis forced it on the other end. Charlotte Weber, she's got one of the hardest shots Dana Leneper has ever seen. And she could not get the shot off from the collapsing defense. They'll call the foul, the flag out, likely against Abby Clothier. So Weber will improve her angle a little bit, more centered. Great strength from Weber. She'll power it, and Sedrask is able to pin it to the turf and made the save. And Sedrask will throw a strike and try to ignite transition, but the pass sails away from Song, but backed up behind by MKA. Here comes Avery Song, and Song one-on-one will continue and score. Song able to race past the last defender, and Avery Song with a big one. It's now 5-3. Sedrask started it with the sharp outlet pass. Avery Song with her 28th. She's this team's 3rd leading scorer. And Chelsea Intrabartola loves how shifty she is and graceful in that process. She's always under control while changing direction. And you saw an example of that there. Avery had a nice freshman year with 19 points in only a half season after being injured. So 9:55 left, first half. This was a 4-0 start for Trinity Hall on the road. And they'll get the draw control. Haven Dora. As Dora continues to race ahead, and MKA will get the stop. The ground ball from Katie Hipp. Columbia Walsh will have it, and the foul called. Well, what a handful Haven Dora is to try to stay in front of. And Katie Hipp was just able to angle her enough. Hipp is the most experienced defender for Chelsea Intrabartola, who is an outstanding defender in her own right. A 3-year starter at Rutgers under Laura Brand-Sias. As Sendrak fires it again on target for Columbia Walsh. Everson, and into the box it comes. And with under 9 minutes left, a chance to climb within one for Montclair-Kimberley. The Cougars 16-5 in 2019, 13-6 the year prior, and the champions in the B tournament that year. They also reached the Essex County Final, losing to a very good Glenridge program, 12-9 that year as part of their breakthrough, and reached the North 2 Group 1 state tournament quarterfinals, losing a tight game to New Providence, 15-13. So things have been building at MKA in Chelsea Intrabartola's 6th year. They had a big senior class in 2019 with 9 that all started and contributed, so there was a lot of building to do. Feed to the 8-meter. Aaron Curran didn't like her angle. Instead, will settle and look for something better. Song now over the top. Shot inside. Save is made on Aaron Curran. First save, Isabel Darman. And Darman, who's made 18 saves, and the sophomore comes up with a stop. The Monarchs, for most of this year, have split their goalies or alternated starts. It kind of depends on the warm-up for the day. They split halves against the Princeton Day School. It was 24-5. They have senior Margaret McCarthy, who was also in her 3rd year on the varsity. Darman offers the 5'9" size, so a little bit different in terms of style. As here's Martin. Down low it comes as she shoots it into Tessa Bateman and then gets it back. And Haven Dora with the settled possession for Trinity Hall, leading 5-3. 7 minutes left. First half on what's a pleasant day here in Montclair. Ralph Benarchik on hand with you on the Play-by-Play Sports Network. 2021 New Jersey Girls Lacrosse Prep B championship game and a rematch of 2019. Weber off the ISO with Everson defending. Martin, a freshman outside. Haven Dora. Hipp forcing her to turn. Paige Nolan. Nolan darts through, and Sedrax made the save. The opening was there for Paige Nolan. Again, she looked to go low and bounce it through, and Sedrax had covered up the low portion of the cage. Well, Orly also, you could see how active she is. Dora again, Hipp the tough assignment. And here comes the double on Haven Dora. Before Lindsey Dreever backs off, Haven Dora to continue. Hipp, a very gritty defender, a senior with physicality. And Hipp will close her off, then the pass coming through, and it could not be brought in by Peyton Maguire. Maguire pursues the pass, and then out of her stick, out of bounds. And check that, it's the red line that's out of bounds, so from what I could tell. So Trinity Hall will keep, and then shoveling the shot across, and that misses wide. Good effort coming through by Mary Kate Allingham. 5:06 left first half. 5-3 Trinity Hall. They jumped out ahead 4-0 and forced an early MKA timeout. Now Weber on the roll. Offensive foul. She ran into the double team. Caroline Murphy for MKA stood in and took some of the contact and a well-timed double from the backside. We apologize for some technical difficulties. Cedrax does complete the clearing pass with good patience, and here's Taylor Everson. Columbia Walsh did not have an angle. Darman on high alert. So far, MKA has not allowed the backer zone to bother them a lot. More of the unforced turnovers that were their undoing in the first 10 minutes. 3:45 left in the first half. And a chance to get closer for the Cougars. Columbia Walsh slipped the pass through. That Song darting through. I'm not sure if that was intended for Avery Song. It looked like it was intended for Caroline Murphy, but out of nowhere, Song races in and essentially made it a pass to an open cutter. Darman with no chance to make the save. Barely even saw Song in her periphery. She's got consecutive goals, and it's 5-4. So Columbia Walsh will get an assist on that. And MKA has made it a one-goal game. .323 left first half. Columbia Walsh able to jump forward ahead of Allingham and self-draw. And she'll deal it back to Katie Hipp. Down the middle, room for sophomore Caroline Murphy. Song to the stick of Taylor Everson, and MKA back to work, looking for the equalizer. The defending New Jersey girls Prep B champions. Meanwhile, Trinity Hall, they're going to receive their seeding after tomorrow's game. I'll get to that in a moment. In the Shore Conference tournament, as we have a foul against Trinity Hall's Caroline Golka. Weinstein will swing it up top for Columbia Walsh. Walsh did score 3 goals at Summit in a notable performance against right now the state's number 2 team. Oak Knoll back to number 1. They were the preseason number 1 in the States and still the Tournament of Champions title holders from 2019. So Song behind, and the backer not going to her. Looks like a switch here by Trinity Hall to go to a zone look rather than have Bryn McGinnis the backer zone, and here is shooting space called. So just outside the 8 meters, so a benefit of the call for Patricia Columbia Walsh. Straight on against Isabel Darman. The Cougars a chance to tie. Columbia Walsh, the bouncer. A tie game at 5. Columbia Walsh on free position. And the ball movement for MKA is really what led to the goal. So the Cougars were pushed here in the first half, trailing 4-0. Chelsea Introbertola talks about how the game that everything started to click for the team. When you look at their schedule, you wouldn't think that it is, but they won at New Providence 19-3. Typically, it always struggled at New Providence, a Group 1 school, and everything just clicked on both ends. And to pick up a lopsided win like that, and gave them a lot of confidence going into the May 1st game at Summit, where the final score was 20-8. And amidst all of that, you have to take into account that MKA had a 2-week virus protocol shutdown in the preseason. They only had 2 practices before their April 23rd opener. So they were further behind than most programs who would all say we're also a bit behind than we usually are. Draw control, Song, and runs into Paige Nolan. So Nolan with 1:35 left first half. Trinity Hall and Montclair-Kimberley tied at 5. Dora behind, and Dora was looking to draw and dump. Now will continue. Again, Katie Hipp giving that assignment. Feed from Martin, and Martin taken off of her right-hand angle. And good chase down defending. Lindsey Dreever, a sophomore, varsity soccer and swimmer, that prevented that shot from happening. Again, Dora out front. We'll take a look at the clock with 50 seconds and counting. First half. Allingham along for Nolan. And the Monarchs would like to get the final shot, it would appear, of the first half. Dora Isos splitting on Hip. Call will be against Montclair-Kimberley defensively. So this will give Haven Dora an 8-meter. 27 seconds left. The clock stops on this whistle. Dora weaves through. Stick save made. Centrask. Allingham with the loose ball. And then Allingham lost it out of bounds. So MKA gets the stop. A fired up freshman, Orly Centrask, in goal. And now our officials giving the ball back to Trinity Hall. I looked down for a moment. I could not tell why that was. But here's 10 seconds and moving for Haven Dora. Dora fouled, goal line extended. Stopping the clock with 3 seconds. Short time here for Trinity Hall to try to get a quick stick. And it's going to be a yellow against Katie Hipp that sends her off for 2 minutes. So meanwhile, Dora will have a chance to dart potentially and sweep across. And look at the room Dora has with 3 seconds. And Dora has to be very careful here of the officials' cadence in the whistle to not move early. And our officials communicating who needs to be where outside the 8-meter. So Dora waiting for the whistle. She got a good jump. Dora continues, and that's it. Dora, I believe, stepped in the crease as she cut across. We head to halftime, tied at 5. Trinity Hall jumped down in front, 4-0. MKA eventually pieced together a comeback. And we are even at 5 in this Girls Lacrosse State Prep B Final on the Play-by-Play Sports Network. I'll be back with you in 9 minutes. Second half about to begin. 2021 New Jersey Girls Lacrosse Prep B Championship game is tied at 5 at the half. Ralph Bednarczyk back with you on the Play-by-Play Sports Network. Trinity Hall jumped out 4-0 and forced an early MKA timeout by Coach Chelsea Intrabartola, and it worked. Her team was able to battle back and get the score even. Paige Nolan with 3 early goals to lead Trinity Hall. 2 others from Haven Dora. 2 goals apiece for Patricia Columbia Walsh and Avery Song. Taylor Everson has added the other. Columbia Walsh also with an assist. So she and Nolan each with 3 points. Orly Sedrask in goal. The freshman for MKA at times has just changed the energy of this game with some big saves with high degree of difficulty and shooters in tight against her. And look out for that factor. Isabel Darman stays in goal for Trinity Hall to begin this second half. So Coach Dana Leneper is going to trust the sophomore here in this Prep B final. Both teams on the field tomorrow against good opponents too, but this one is a chance for some hardware as Everson comes up with the draw control off the circle. And Columbia Walsh. The Trinity Hall full field ride has been effective. Sedrask, though, has been left in an island a couple times, but she's passed the test with her passes. She worked it through the middle for freshman Ava Moore. Columbia Walsh down the middle again for Sedrask. And Orly will go to her left. And stepping in is sophomore Lindsey Dreever. And she's thrown into the mix on low D. And a quick learner, she's taken to the position. And Dreever looking for an outlet. And a handle for Aaron Curran. MKA will not sub much. They are down a senior attack today in Caroline Turgeon, who was a starter. She's only played 1 game due to injury. And here is a near turnover and a good aggression there by Bryn McGinnis. Quick feed down low. Song cuts across her, bouncer, and it came over the top. Song was fouled in the process of the shot. Christine Lindholm fed her in very tight quarters around the crease. So Song with the opportunity to give the Cougars the lead early in the second. Isabel Darman in goal. Song firing and almost got Darman off balance. The shot was wide of goal. And the battle for the ground ball. And they'll call the foul on Katie Weinstein of MKA. So Paige Nolan to start the clear for Trinity Hall. Nolan to handle it herself. I'm sure with Chelsea Intrabartola coming into this game with just 1 day of practice in between games, her focus was stopping the big 3 of Trinity Hall of Dora, Nolan in particular, and Allingham. And to stop their dodges, it's been mainly ISO dodges from up top rather than assisted goals for the Monarchs. I'm sure that was part of the discussion at the half. Here is Nolan. And Nolan, good feed, Martin. And then Martin picks up the foul. So a blocking call against MKA. A good collapsing defense, nevertheless, for the Cougars. And that'll put freshman Kia Martin to the 8-meter. And this is a stick save. Sedrask as she fires it ahead, and MKA with the stop. Clothier away from Charlotte Weber. Dreever could not handle the pass. Martin to one-handed and control off the turnover, and Trinity Hall and their ride gets the job done again. And timeout called by Trinity Hall. So the early timeout for Dana Leneper, about 3.5 minutes in, tied at 5. Touched on these 2 coaches And how about for Trinity Hall in the middle of that huddle? Dana Leneper. She started this program with just 6 players in 2013. She had already coached basketball and tennis, and she was pulling other athletes. They had 12 for most of the games that they played in their first season in 2014. And then it was the class of 2016 that mainly played basketball that started to get the program moving forward. They got better and better and very unselfish. They kept building momentum. And they went from a program that was 0-19 in 2015 to now having a season where they could have 19 wins. A lot of credit goes to Sydney Ripple, Colleen Kelly, class of 2020s that believed in Dana Leneper's message and trusting the program, and they made such a huge impact. And you know you have a terrific senior class when a coach talks about how the graduated senior class, even a year later, and even when they didn't have a senior year, they still are adored and admired by these current players, the seniors, juniors, and even the sophomores that got a chance to meet them. And Colleen Kelly, Sydney Ripple, a couple of defenders that they lost that were all leaders within the program. So out of the timeout, Trinity Hall will work it to the near side for Gulka. Nolan. That should drop it off here for Haven Dora. So Trinity Hall back to work. We've played 4 minutes of this second half. Haven Dora. Hip has had the matchup the whole day. They'll call the foul outside. No one's been able to stay in front of Haven Dora this year as a Dodger, and we could see how she is such a handful. As she got the jump, continues through. The flag is out. Dangerous check near the head, so that will push Haven to perhaps straight on. These Trinity Hall shooters have tended to shoot low via bouncers, especially both Nolan and Dora. Haven Dora shooting it low, this time placing it in a tough spot, low and off stick side. Terrific placement for Haven Dora. She's the one that brings the ball back every day to practice. Shooting and passing when she has that extra time. Just so driven and a calmly placed shot. And she makes it a 6-5 Trinity Hall lead. This draw control belongs to Paige Nolan. So Hayla Dora. Work through from Gulka. And finally to step in, Bryn McGinnis, a captain on this Trinity Hall team. So the Monarchs back in front. They jumped out 4-0. Allingham, the Dodge goal line extended against Columbia Walsh. And the feed up top looking to turn and fire. that time for Trinity Hall was Haven Dora. And the pickup, the ground ball from Everson, and MKA able to cause a turnover. And ridden down the sideline, Christine Lindholm. And Lindholm eventually picks up the foul. And MKA back to work behind through junior Kate Weinstein. And this is a drop pass behind and a turnover. Unforced turnover as Curran just took her eye off the ball. So MKA hurt themselves with unforced turnovers early in the game, and part of why they trailed 4-zip. So Nolan to drop it off for Haven Dora. Trinity Hall averaging 16 goals per game. Haven Dora off the face dodge, picks up shooting space, and just terrific quickness that if you come out to defend her too far outside, it is a problem unless you have a defender ready right behind you. So Haven Dora to goal. Squeezes her way through and makes it 7-5. So the dodging by the Trinity Hall midfield is the biggest difference maker today. Haven now with 5 to lead all players. And back-to-back goals to open up the second half on free position. Haven first-team All-Shore and first-team All-Prep as a freshman after a 76-goal, 50-assist freshman year. And what a player Chris Saylor is getting at Princeton. Draw control, Everson. And MKA had to have that, and Avery Song will work herself through traffic. Columbia Walsh. And for Everson. So Trinity Hall has sat in this zone look. We have not seen Bryn McGinnis since the early stages go out and cause the havoc that she usually does. McGinnis may be a little bit here outside. 6 in Navy, has her eye on Columbia Walsh, but is not actively pursuing the ball carrier as the backer in the zone normally would. And McGinnis, a 3-year starter at about 5'9", and kind of the perfect kind of player to have as the backer in front, and Darman able to come up with a save. She stops Taylor Everson. Maybe the biggest save that Darman has made today. So Trinity Hall here as senior Allie Perry off the bench on the attack. Will come in here second half. She's been a very reliable player. And for this Trinity Hall team, a small school, they've been able to find some depth as they've grown as a varsity program, where they can make subs, and that can be cyclical at the Group 1 and small schools. Some years you just might have a lot of numbers, more than usual. Some years your bench could be pretty tight. Here's Peyton Maguire. And Maguire continues. Quick shot stave made, Cedrask. And Maguire showing her physicality there. Pair of sophomores as she worked through Caroline Murphy. And Maguire so coachable, coming off of a 6-1 game, a career high against the Princeton Day School in the B semifinal. And her growth on the attack to complement what Trinity Hall has in the midfield And has kind of given them another level that they've reached, and now they are a program high, ranked number 9 in the state this week, and playing for the first time, and now is the team that is being hunted, so a different situation. As Cedrask holds. That'll change, though, tomorrow as Trinity Hall will take on Rumson Fairhaven, the perennial power out of the Shore Conference. Rumson Fairhaven has a winning streak of 126 games against Shore Conference opponents. That's a 9-year mark. Tomorrow, though, there are folks that think Trinity Hall will give them quite the game. And Trinity Hall will have to come off the emotion of this game and get themselves ready to go for what could be the next most significant game, or the most significant game they'll ever play in the regular season. Cedrask, great patience, and she throws a strike to Columbia Walsh. In transition, Weinstein, and the whistle and the foul. But the outlet passes today by Orly Cedrask have also been something else. Junior Katie Weinstein, 4-1 of the year, and dropped it coming off of the 8. And Weinstein will settle it and pick up the foul, so this rescues the possession for MKA. Weinstein, and here comes McGinnis. So it looks like it's more to the backer zone for the Cougars. And Song will hold. And now McGinnis will kind of hold up. So maybe the adjustment with Trinity Hall with the backer, mainly when the ball is goal line extended. Columbia Walsh to direct things as we're about to hit 12 minutes to go. Second half, 7-5, Trinity Hall out of Tinton Falls in Monmouth County. On the road here at Montclair-Kimberley in Montclair, New Jersey. Prep B girls lacrosse final. Everson, the sweep across, flips it in. Song, shovel shot, and Darman is there. Not much of an angle for Avery Song, and she tried to force it underneath Darman, and Darman was ready. Dana Leneper loves Darman's aggression. She will come out, and as a 5'9" athlete, to challenge shooters around her in the crease. And already kind of having that fearless mindset as a young goalie, similar to Cedrask. And here is a floated clearing pass. Allingham will grab it and save this possession for the Monarchs. Allingham's pass sailing away from Maguire, and the pickup belonging to MKA and Lindsey Dreever. So the Cougars able to turn over Trinity Hall in the riding game, as this is a cross-field pass that MKA and freshman Ava Moore will get to. And Moore got it ahead. Katie Hipp. In this region, Katie Hipp's mom, Mary Hipp, who has been instrumental in growing the Verona youth lacrosse program, and many of these MKA players are natives of Verona or the surrounding area, the Montclair players as well coming up through the Verona area. Mary Hipp deserves a lot of credit for this program building and more players involved in the sport, not just here at MKA, but at Montclair High School, which has been in the state top 20 now for several years. Pass down low for Weinstein, could not bring it in, and it's Maguire for Trinity Hall defensively. Haladora trying to get outside, and she will. 9.5 left, 7-5, Trinity Hall. The fewest goals they've scored was the win at number 13, Pingree, 12-2. Circling in front, Cedrask the stop on Charlotte Weber. And Orly Cedrask is now seeing the ball great and with confidence, but the ball overthrown. Right back in for the Monarchs, and this will go out of bounds. Well, there's just no hesitation, and Orly Cedrask is now just in a spot where her confidence is sky high as she pushes it through for Hip. She's made some saves on free position, and her clears have been terrific, and that's given the Cougars a chance to just exhale, but there is a potential turnover. Weber got her stick on it, and eventually down through the middle it went on the feed from Abby Clothier, and worked through for Aaron Curran, and now Weinstein. Song looked to come on the sneak from behind, and she picks up the foul. .8:05 left, second half. So they'll place Song on the wing. MKA got themselves back in the game in the first half via their midfield, able to drive and work themselves into some free positions. They have not had a free position shot in this second half. They got a transition goal from Avery Song. They've been held out of transition here in the second as well. Columbia Walsh, and good defense played by Haladora. Darman has made a big save on a shovel shot by Song. This is Everson, works her way through. Taylor Everson got the looping pass. One hand grab, protected the stick, and MKA has gotten themselves back within one, 7-6 with 7:12 left. Check the stick of Everson and everything is okay. Avery Song headed to the bench for MKA, perhaps just to fix a cut, perhaps. So junior Cassie Polanski will replace her. So MKA will look to have her back as soon as they can. 7:12 left, not yet close enough for Trinity Hall to consider playing keep away. Patricia Columbia Walsh for MKA, and this one off the circle comes to Nolan. So that draw taken by Sarah Sullivan, who's turning into a specialist of some kind, a freshman backup midfielder who's got 4 points and a nice game against Shore Regional with 2 goals. So Sullivan will get a midfield run now for Trinity Hall. .6:44 left. Nolan, Havendora with the defender Hip, meeting her at the post. Nolan goal line extended. Here's Tess Bateman. 5:55 left. 7-6 Trinity Hall. 2 goals from Haven Dora in the second half for the Monarchs is the difference. Perry, and then Perry's pass deflected, and the ball on the ground. Abby Clothier nearly caused a turnover, but here's Bryn McGinnis with a tough ground ball. And now McGinnis looking for an outlet, and she picks up the foul. Active stick there by Abby Clothier to pick the pocket of Perry. And Clothier always with multiple calls, turnovers, and ground balls each game. Varsity soccer as well. And the Monarchs back to work as they get it into the box. Under 5 minutes left. Haven Dora. And Hip continues to stay with her. Katie hopes to one day attend medical school, maybe be a child psychologist after she finishes playing at George Washington. Hip trying to stay with Dora. The slide was coming from Dreever to back up Hip. And that forces Haven Dora behind. So MKA has been able to at least limit Haven Dora's dodging ability, where Dora was able to get 8 meters more consistently in the first half. Allingham, that back on the field. Tried to face dodge, and she's met there by Clothier. And if Clothier had considered flopping, she probably would have gotten the charge call. And she was right in the path of Allingham. Now off the wing, Weber, and tried to roll back to her right, and she picks up the foul. So, rather, it was Tess Bateman. Tess known for her off-ball movement. 4 goals, 10 assists. A feeder typically from the wing, and now she's straight up top against Sedrask. Will feed to the wing. And Trinity Hall will elect to take this clock further down and look for a great shot. And perhaps the difference-making shot in a 7-6 game. This is a different kind of a game that the Monarchs have played this year and sets themselves up perhaps very well ahead of tomorrow's showdown against Rumson, as Haven Dora met by Hip. And the ISO again begins. Again, the closest game the Monarchs have played this season, where there really hasn't been one that was truly in the balance at this juncture. Closest final score is 8. 17-9 versus Red Bank Regional. And here they are with 2.5 left. Again, no shot clock at the high school level. At the college level, it is 90 seconds in Division 1 through 3 women's college lacrosse. Paige Nolan. And Nolan gets an early shooting space call. So with 2:05 and counting, will Nolan pull the trigger? On the right wing. And Nolan will back out of it. So the Monarchs have flirted with going to cage a number of times. And now with 1:40 left, can MKA turn over Trinity Hall? Here comes Everson, 17 in white, trying to chase down Dora. Dora with a path to goal, will finish. So she saw the opening and decided to take it with 1:25 left. Haven Dora with 6. 8-6. Trinity Hall in this Prep B final. So that ended up as nearly a 6-minute possession. Timeout called here by MKA to discuss strategy for Coach Chelsea Intrabartola. as her team has to come up with the next draw. Chelsea in her 6th season, after playing 3 years at Rutgers. She spent the year as the assistant varsity coach at Princeton High School before getting the job here. Also coaches with Glenridge coach Beth Larkin in the CLC program. She just loved coaching club lacrosse all through college over her summers, and it's just her favorite thing. She had been with the Building Blocks Lacrosse organization previously. She played at Comac High School out in Suffolk County, Long Island. All Suffolk County as a senior, and one of the top counties you can play lacrosse in the nation. And she played club lacrosse with the famed Long Island Yellow Jackets, and that got her to Rutgers, where she was a 4-year starter and team captain. And now Chelsea Bartola has settled into living in New Jersey and the competition level here, and she has a team that's looking to take the next step into the Essex County tournament and win their first championship in that tournament, and then eventually to win the section in North 2 Group 1. Programs like Verona and New Providence have stood in their way. West Essex will be the number 1 seed in the Essex County tournament, Montclair the 2, and Glenridge will be the 4. So it's going to be looks like a lot of balance and parity in the Essex County tournament in girls lacrosse. And Milburn also with a good seed. So there are a number of programs that are on the rise that it is appearing like the days of chalk in some of these county tournaments are going to be forgotten, that you're going to see programs jump up and surprise some people. 8-6 Trinity Hall. And it's going to be the freshman Sarah Sullivan that Dana Leneper of Trinity Hall puts up on this important draw. Columbia Walsh on for MKA. A chance for Everson, and she'll one-hand it. And now races ahead with a chance for transition. Everson around the defender, then had it trail checked away by the foul. Almost a clean check by Haladora. So Everson gets the stoppage with 1:13 left. And a chance at a quick free position response. Everson taking it across. She's made it a 1-goal game. With 1:09 left. And MKA right back in business. Everson's second goal. Again, it's Sullivan against Columbia Walsh. Last couple of draw control wins, Everson has been able to out-jump Paige Nolan. And here's the adjustment. Allingham, a bigger and more physical player, will line up against Everson for the box out on the circle. Same area, and this time Everson, a free ground ball. 1:03 left. And MKA will have a possession to try to tie the game. Aaron Curran had it checked away. And Dora with the takeaway. Haven Dora with the clear strip. As she feeds it ahead, it's an overpass. And the pickup back behind by Sendrask. Still time for MKA. And the foul coming. They're going to give it back, I think, to Abby Clothier. So with 35 seconds, Sendrask will need to hurry. Normally very patient on the clear, and she'll fire it through. Moore on the pickup. Clock stopping at 25 seconds. Second half, 8-7, Trinity Hall. Moore. Everson looking for room. Everson, backside pass, intercepted, Haladora. And Haladora is fouled. Columbia Walsh was open. Everson just didn't put enough air underneath it. And Haladora with an impressive one-hand stab with 15 seconds left. Trinity Hall is just a clear away from a Prep B title. Allingham turning the corner with 8. Got it ahead to Martin, and that's it. Trinity Hall, a program on the rise. Allingham continues. That's it. The Monarchs making their move. For the first time, they have some hardware. Trinity Hall is your state Prep B champion. The Monarchs, for the first time, capture an in-season tournament. They hold on for the victory, 8-7. The Monarchs remain undefeated. They move to 8-0, and by far their stiffest test of the season. They hit into their super showdown with Rumson Fairhaven off of a terrific test to get themselves ready for a potential significant program-changing game. Haven Dora, amidst her 5 goals, also comes up with the biggest defensive play as she strips the MKA player clean, Aaron Curran, on the far sideline. And that is enough. Haven Dora with 6. Was simply terrific. Paige Nolan finishing or I should say Haven Dora finishing up with 5 goals today. Paige Nolan finishing up with 3, all in the first half. Taylor Everson with 2 goals, 2 and 1 from Patricia Columbia Walsh in this 8-7 final. Montclair-Kimberley falls to 8-3 on the season as they get a terrific test ahead of their Essex County tournament, and they go into a big game against Indian Hills tomorrow and then against Glenridge coming up over the weekend in a Group 1 battle, and then Montclair in back-to-back showdowns. For our entire crew today, my name is Ralph Bednarczyk saying so long and goodbye. You've been watching the 2021 Girls Lacrosse State B Championship game on the Play-by-Play Sports Network.